Sarah Bakewell, at the Existentialist Café, Freedom, Being, and Apricot Cocktails. Dive into the world of existentialism with Sarah Bakewell's captivating account in At the Existentialist Café, Freedom, Being, and Apricot Cocktails. This book unravels the beginnings and development of the existentialist movement, from its humble origins in a Parisian bar to its profound impact on contemporary philosophy. Get acquainted with luminaries like Jean-Paul Sartre, Simone de Beauvoir, Edmund Husserl, and Martin Heidegger as they grapple with the dilemmas of human existence and redefine the essence of freedom. As you explore phenomenology and existentialism, prepare to discover new perspectives on life and redefine your understanding of our place in the world.
Existentialism, born over cocktails. Picture a cozy evening in a Parisian bar in 1932, where friends Jean-Paul Sartre, Simone de Beauvoir, and Raymond Aron gathered over apricot cocktails. All three had graduated from École Normale Supérieure, eager to break free from the predominantly metaphysical questions that dominated philosophy back then. It is in this setting that Aron introduced Sartre and Beauvoir to phenomenology, a school of thought that focused on the matter of real, everyday life. This fresh perspective intrigued Sartre, who embarked on a journey to Berlin to learn more. After mixing phenomenology, other philosophical concepts, and his unique literary flair, Sartre created a pioneering philosophy, existentialism. Over apricot cocktails at the Bec de Gaz bar, Jean-Paul Sartre, Simone de Beauvoir, and Raymond Aron discussed their dissatisfaction with the traditional philosophy they encountered at school. They longed for something more meaningful and resonant with their experiences. Aron then introduced Sartre and Beauvoir to phenomenology, a philosophy he had discovered while studying in Berlin. Unlike their philosophical education, phenomenology centered around examining real-life experiences, even as simple as enjoying an apricot cocktail. Inspired, Sartre dashed to a bookstore to gather all available information on phenomenology. However, equipped with only one book, he knew he needed more. As a result, he decided to follow in Aron's footsteps and travel to Berlin to enrich his understanding. Throughout his year-long stay there, Sartre pored over existing works on phenomenology, integrating various ideas with his own inventive style. Upon returning to Paris in 1934, Sartre emerged as a new philosopher, equipped with a groundbreaking philosophy, existentialism. Ironically, the true heart of phenomenology was not in Berlin, as Sartre thought, but in Freiburg, Germany. Despite this, the apricot cocktail-fueled conversation in Paris was where existentialism first began to take shape, forever impacting the world of philosophy. Phenomenology Unveiled. Freiburg im Breisgau, a university city in southwest Germany, surged as the epicenter of phenomenology in the early 20th century, with students eager to learn from its founder, Edmund Husserl. Phenomenology, rather than a theory, is a method for describing phenomena, grounding itself in direct experiences. By conducting an epoche, where judgment is suspended and all preconceived notions are set aside, one can focus on perceiving the things themselves with fresh eyes. This approach is useful for understanding life deeply, as it allows for accurate descriptions of specific phenomena and promotes rigorous examination and improvement of those depictions. In 1918, Martin Heidegger joined the pursuit, significantly influencing phenomenology. Embedded in the heart of southwest Germany, Freiburg im Breisgau emerged as the cradle of phenomenology in the early 20th century. The city's university attracted passionate students, eager to delve into this innovative discipline guided by its founder, Edmund Husserl. At its core, phenomenology is not a theory but a method for describing phenomena that encompass events, feelings, and objects. Unlike traditional philosophy, phenomenology emphasizes direct, first-hand experiences as the foundation for understanding these phenomena. Consider an apricot cocktail. While conventional philosophy might question its existence or ponder over its mental construct, phenomenology urges us to savor the drink itself. The focus is on the sensual experience, instead of worrying about abstract concepts. To accurately describe phenomena, Husserl encouraged the use of epikê, a technique borrowed from ancient Greek philosophy that involves the suspension of judgment. By sidelining preconceived notions, an individual can perceive phenomena lucidly and concentrate on the things themselves, with new perspectives. Why follow this approach, though? Phenomenology provides extraordinary insights in many scenarios. For instance, understanding pain through a patient's own description can help doctors reach an accurate diagnosis. Phenomenologists apply this principle more broadly to grasp the essence of life itself. Husserl and his followers rejected superficial, vague interpretations. A phenomenologist describing music would avoid labels like lovely and seek more precise language such as plaintive or full of great dignity. They continuously refined superficial descriptions to distill them into the fundamental nature of phenomena. In 1918, the pursuit of phenomenology welcomed a promising new member, Martin Heidegger, who would come to leave a profound impact on the discipline. Armed with a fresh perspective and a talent for observing the things themselves, Heidegger would prove phenomenology's true potential, further expanding its influence and importance in the ever-evolving landscape of human thought. Being in Time, Heidegger's Revolution. Martin Heidegger, a brilliant student of philosopher Edmund Husserl, made a groundbreaking contribution to philosophy in his 1927 book, Being in Time. Heidegger pointed out the overlooked importance of being and existence, which should be the starting point for questioning. He introduced the term Dasein, meaning their being, to emphasize the connectedness between our existence and the world around us. Despite his intellectual influence, Heidegger's moral shortcomings revealed through his Nazi Party membership and anti-Semitic writings significantly affected his reputation and relationships. Philosophy underwent a significant shift in the 20th century, largely thanks to the innovative ideas of Martin Heidegger. Mentored by renowned philosopher Edmund Husserl, Heidegger went on to write Being in Time in 1927, revolutionizing the way thinkers approached their discipline. Heidegger questioned the fundamental elements of philosophic terminology, asking what it truly meant when we say something is. In examining the relevance of existence, he realized that philosophers had overlooked the central concept of being in their quest for understanding. Heidegger asserted that being itself is the root of all inquiries and should be treated as such, instead of assuming a detached external perspective. Another crucial aspect of Heidegger's philosophy emphasized the connection between humans and the world they attempt to comprehend. He rejected the idea of a barrier between the observer and the observed. With the term Dasein, formed from the German da, meaning there, and sein, meaning being, Heidegger sought to maintain our constant reminder of our existence in the world and our relationship with it. Heidegger's work soon gained widespread recognition, making him a prominent figure in academia. However, the philosopher's moral compass drew controversy and ultimately tarnished his legacy. As the rector of Freiburg University in 1933, Heidegger was required to join the Nazi Party and enforce policies that led to many Jewish faculty members, including his mentor Husserl, being stripped of their positions and privileges. Despite Heidegger's claims of misunderstanding the Nazi agenda, the publication of his notebooks in 2014 revealed a shocking record of anti-Semitic and pro-Nazi sentiments. It became apparent that his affiliation went beyond what was expected for his university role. This revelation marked the beginning of the downfall for Heidegger, as friends and colleagues distanced themselves from the disgraced philosopher. Jean-Paul Sartre might have observed that Heidegger's actions defined him far more than his brilliant ideas. While Being in Time catalyzed a revolution in philosophy, the shadows cast by his unsavory affiliations continue to influence how his work is received and his reputation in the philosophical world. Inventing ourselves through choices. Sartre's existentialism, rooted in both philosophy and literature, emphasizes the paramount role of freedom in shaping our lives. Contrary to popular belief, various factors like culture, biology, and personal history do not necessarily define us. Instead, the choices we make wholly determine one's essence. Sartre's anecdote about a wartime student highlights that absolute freedom can be a burden, as there are no restraints to limit our decisions. Thus, our actions have significant consequences, and avoiding responsibility will only result in inauthenticity. In the end, he encourages the student to choose and invent himself, a philosophy Sartre and de Beauvoir wholeheartedly embraced. Unconventional bond of philosophers. Sartre and de Beauvoir, as students, began a relationship that defied societal norms and expectations. Rejecting marriage as a confining tradition, they instead agreed to a 2-year renewable lease for their open relationship, which lasted for 50 years until Sartre's death. The core of their partnership was their shared passion for writing, working side by side, providing inspiration, criticism, and encouragement to one another. Their existentialist philosophy, focused on freedom and choice, fueled their activism during events like the 1968 Paris uprisings and persisted even through the challenges faced during the occupation of France in World War II. Confronting the burden of freedom. As 1939 brought the shadow of war, European lives were upended. Existential philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre went from meteorological station duty to a POW camp, where he delved into Heidegger's Being in Time. Upon escaping, his readings inspired his own masterpiece, Being in Nothingness. Philosophy was a refuge for Simone de Beauvoir as well, with works by Hegel and Kierkegaard influencing her novel She Came to Stay. In Being in Nothingness, Sartre explores how people turn to routine and role-play to avoid the anxiety of infinite choices, limiting their own acknowledged freedom. At the cusp of World War II, Europe faced upheaval and uncertainty. Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir turned to philosophy for solace during these trying times. De Beauvoir, stuck in occupied Paris, found inspiration in Hegel and Kierkegaard for her novel She Came to Stay. Meanwhile, Sartre, imprisoned as a POW and grappling with his own difficulties, immersed himself in Martin Heidegger's Being in Time. Sartre eventually escaped captivity and returned to Paris, transforming his prison notes into his philosophical magnum opus, Being in Nothingness. In the tome, Sartre posits that we are nothing more than what our actions represent. Through our choices, we define ourselves, an immensely liberating and simultaneously terrifying prospect. This overwhelming freedom is akin to the vertigo experienced when peering over a cliff, knowing you possess the power to jump, yet restraining yourself from doing so. To alleviate the perceived burden of freedom, Sartre suggests that people create constraints and limitations upon themselves. An alarm clock, for instance, allows individuals to submit to an external command and evade the responsibility of deciding when to wake up. This self-imposed restriction lessens the weight of freedom, making life more manageable. Similar strategies of self-restraint manifest in everyday life. Sartre points to the example of a Parisian waiter who moves gracefully and efficiently between tables, exhibiting exaggerated, unnatural movements that stray drastically from his behavior outside of work. Enacting this caricature-like portrayal of a waiter, he denies the freedom and fallibility of his human nature, embodying what Sartre calls bad faith. Sartre warns against letting such performances dominate our lives to the point that we deceive ourselves into believing we aren't truly free. Embracing the true nature and consequences of our choices can lead to liberation and self-discovery, allowing individuals to wield the power of freedom responsibly and authentically. Existentialism's alluring emergence. Post-World War II Europe saw existentialism emerge as a powerful philosophy, captivating the minds of intellectuals, artists, and common people alike. The movement, led by influential thinkers such as Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir, fostered a counterculture focused on rejecting the status quo and embracing the provocative, embodied by the bustling scene in Paris Saint-Germain-des-Prés. This magnetic atmosphere drew in brilliant figures like Albert Camus and emulated elements of American culture, showcasing a spirit of resistance and hope. As World War II left Europe shattered, the continent needed new ways of thinking to help reforge its identity. Existentialism, offering a fresh lens through which to view life, rose to prominence in 1945. Jean-Paul Sartre, a leading figure of the movement, delivered a talk in Paris that attracted overwhelming attention. The world grew abuzz with existentialism and keen to learn more about Sartre's revolutionary ideas. The heart of this emerging philosophy thrived in the Saint-Germain-des-Prés area of Paris, where Sartre and another esteemed existentialist, Simone de Beauvoir, spent most of their time. Known for their café-centered lifestyle, the pair would write, socialize, and revel in the company of like-minded artists, writers, and students. Empowered by their shared values, this vibrant counterculture reveled in the dangerous and provocative, openly rejecting all things bourgeois. Amidst this countercultural wave, de Beauvoir cherished a tale exemplifying the scene spirit, that of her impoverished artist friend Wules feeling embarrassed to be seen with his wealthy banker brother. Such a reversal of social dynamics, though perhaps not shocking now, was groundbreaking at the time and enthralled those seeking unconventionality. While Paris was the epicenter of existentialism, the movement was intensely fascinated with American culture, particularly its music. American anthems of defiance and hope quickly gained traction, symbolizing resistance. For instance, Juliette Greco, a singer who had been arrested by the Gestapo and later released, defiantly sang "Over the Rainbow" during her long walk home. It was through this electric atmosphere that Sartre and de Beauvoir formed an alliance with another influential philosopher, Albert Camus, contributing to the rich tapestry of existentialist thought and its lasting impact on the world. Embracing absurdity and friendships. When the French-Algerian writer Albert Camus entered the lives of Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir in 1943, their friendship blossomed quickly. Camus' philosophy had strong existentialist tones and introduced a touch of absurdity, as seen in his book, The Myth of Sisyphus. While Sartre and de Beauvoir disagreed with aspects of his views, including the absence of meaning in life, their friendship remained intact. Their substantial philosophical differences arose from their clashing perspectives on post-World War II situations, such as the execution of Nazi collaborators. These differences eventually strained their friendship and led to its eventual dissolution in the early 1950s. Entering the lives of Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir in 1943, Albert Camus immediately captivated the pair with his handsome appearance, warm demeanor, and unique take on existentialism. Despite not identifying strictly as an existentialist, Camus' works showcased strong existentialist themes, in addition to introducing a layer of absurdity. His book, The Myth of Sisyphus, for instance, examined the story of Homer's Odyssey in which a king named Sisyphus is punished by the gods by pushing a boulder uphill every day. The boulder consistently rolls back down, leading Sisyphus to question the meaning of his actions. To Camus, this scenario represented how humans engage in daily activities without considering life's deeper meaning, embodying a sense of absurdity. Camus didn't view the lack of meaning in life as a depressing concept, he considered it simply absurd. Sartre and de Beauvoir disagreed with Camus' notion that life is inherently absurd and void of meaning. They believed that everyone's life takes on a unique significance and should not be negated by the concept of absurdity. However, their friendship remained largely unaffected by these differences in perspective. The real points of contention arose following the liberation of Paris from German occupation in 1945. Camus staunchly opposed state-sanctioned executions, torture, and abuse against individuals who had collaborated with Germans, claiming it was fundamentally immoral. This contrasted the positions held by Sartre and de Beauvoir, who believed that such actions, though harmful, were a necessary evil to honor the lives lost during German occupation and to create a clean slate for the future. They viewed Camus as overly idealistic in his beliefs. As the trio's political views continually diverged in the post-war context, their once vibrant friendship began to show signs of wear. Its steady disintegration led to a complete separation in the early 1950s, prior to Simone de Beauvoir utilizing existentialism to delve into the often overlooked lives of women. Unveiling feminine existentialism. Simone de Beauvoir's 1949 classic, The Second Sex, ventured into uncharted existentialist territory by considering the unique experiences of women. De Beauvoir argued that women's perspective on life is markedly different from men's, starting from childhood, and they are conditioned to prioritize physical appearance and eventually internalize the male gaze, effectively erasing their own subjectivity. Initially overlooked, The Second Sex is now widely acknowledged as a pioneering feminist work that significantly expanded the conversation around existentialism. In the 1940s, existentialism seemed to have explored every facet of life. However, a key area remained unexamined until Simone de Beauvoir built an enthralling bridge to reveal the existentialist dimension of women's experience in her seminal work, The Second Sex. Taking the road less traveled, de Beauvoir carefully dissected the discrepancies between women's and men's experiences, asserting that what society deems natural is often merely a myth that constrains our understanding of women. Beginning with childhood, society molds boys and girls differently. While young boys are encouraged to be assertive and active, girls are taught to aloofly hone their appearance, as if self-worth is solely dependent on looks. As adults, these ingrained lessons curtail women's autonomy in actions in the world, culminating in a starkly different worldview compared to their male counterparts. Adding to the quagmire of gender roles, women learn to adopt the male gaze, conceptually rooted in Hegel's master-slave relationship. This leads women to see themselves as objectified figures in the eyes of men, undermining their own agency and reality as subjects. Consequently, as they grow and interact with the world, women's consciousness becomes constrained by their internalized male perspective, blurring the lines between self and other. Despite the brilliance of The Second Sex, the book's central arguments remained largely overshadowed in its early days due to translation errors and superficially provocative covers that marred de Beauvoir's outstanding analysis. However, as time marched on, the book's revolutionary impact reverberated among subsequent generations, solidly establishing itself as a groundbreaking feminist text. By breaking through confining preconceptions around gender, The Second Sex unapologetically laid bare the raw essence of existentialism, unfurling the tapestry of women's lived experiences and asserting their rightful place in philosophical discourse.
In At the Existentialist Café, Sarah Bakewell offers an insightful and thought-provoking exploration of existentialism and phenomenology, as well as an intimate portrait of some of the most influential philosophers of the 20th century. The narrative transports us to the era when existentialist ideas were flourishing through the challenges and breakthroughs faced by the likes of Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir. Examining the philosophical and personal journeys of these profound thinkers, the book demonstrates the transformative power of ideas and their potential for shaping the world around us. At the Existentialist Café invites readers to question, redefine, and invent themselves, fostering greater understanding and appreciation for our existence and the immense freedom we possess as individuals.